Hello and welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Millie and I love any makeup, especially shiny, shifty, and sparkly eyeshadows. And I usually talk about eyeshadows and eyeshadow palettes and do lots and lots of tutorials, but I thought this would be a fun video to make for anybody who loves orange blush. I've collected quite a bit of orange blushes from different formulas and I really wanted to compare them and show them, some of them specifically how they apply. I'm not going to be applying all of them because I have a lot of orangey blushes. Some of these are, different spectrum of orange. Some of these are more true orange. Some of these are more like burnt orange. And I'm going to be showing you kind of swatch comparison, top down, and going through the different formulas as well. And there are some blushes in here that I have already cheek swatched in previous videos, and I will leave those linked down below. So let's get right into it, starting off with some cheek applications and then going into arm swatches. I'm going to be putting on Persimmon, and this one is the newer shade, so it's way more orange. And I'm just going to be using this Samantha and Sigma collab brush. And I'm going to be using the slanted side to apply this. And I'm kind of going to go in the light hand and then just build it up. And this is such a beautiful shade. I absolutely love this one. It's got a little bit of a sheen, you can definitely tell. Just going to go in with a little bit more. And that's what that looks like. Going in with Tangy from Unearthly Cosmetics and the Samantha and Sigma brush, and I'm going to be using the slanted side of this brush, and I'm going to go in and just kind of really gently put some pigment down because these are very pigmented. I feel like it looks a little less orangey on the cheek. I feel like I want something a little bit stiffer to really help blend this out, so I'm actually going to use this new Sydney Grace brush. I'm not really sure what this one is meant for, but I'm just gonna go in just with a little bit. You can really see it just kind of picks up a lot. And this one has no sheen to it or anything. This is like a matte blush. I feel like it's definitely like orangey, but it's not that orangey, which I think would make it a little bit more wearable for some people. So that's what Tangy looks like. So I'm going to be applying Crush from Daniel Sandler. This is the watercolor liquid cheek color, and this one is like literally just liquid, and so it does separate the pigment from the liquid, so you have to shake it. And I like to apply it with a stippling kind of brush. This one is just from ColourPop, but just to kind of give you an idea, something that's very kind of sparse in the end of it. And I like to put it on the back of my hand just a little bit, like this might be even too much, and just kind of go like this and then start going in on my cheeks. And it's pretty pigmented, but it's also buildable, so if you wanted to really go in easy, you could. I mean light, you could just kind of build it up. And also if you use a sponge, I think it would also take down quite a bit. And that's what that one looks like. I think I went a little too heavy-handed, but... And then here's just like what the back of my hand looks like. I'm going to be putting on the Tendril Blush, which is one of my favorite orange blushes. Lethal has such a great variety. These are very pigmented. So I'm going to go in with a lighter hand. You can pick up quite a bit very easily. They do also have a lighter, more yellowy blush, which you could definitely also layer with this one. So that's what that one looks like. So I'm going to put on the Flower Beauty Blush Balm in the shade Nectar. And what I like to do is I like to just put it on the back of my hand a little bit. And I'm using this synthetic brush from a bundle from ColourPop. I really wish they would sell some of them separately. And then I just go and blend that. And you can kind of really shear this out if you wanted to, but you can also really build it up. It's just got a little bit of both worlds. And I love the shade. It's so beautiful. I feel like this is one of my first kind of like orangey-ish type of shades without being like full on orange. But here's what that one looks like. So going in with this Christian blush from Style Nanda, and this is the shade Mandarine, and I'm just gonna go in very lightly. I don't know if I really necessarily love applying it with the little, what is this called? Like applicator thing that comes with it. This one is very dewy, very beautiful. I feel like it is lifting a little bit, but this one is really stunning. I think I'm gonna go in with a little bit more and I'm gonna use my finger to really layer it on. You can kind of see, this one is a little bit more of like a pastel orange shade, so it's not really like a vibrant orange shade. And here's what that one looks like. I'm going to be starting out with powders, and I'm going to try to fit pretty much all the powders and the other formulas on one arm, so we'll see how that goes, but let's get right into it. So first I'm swatching Tangy, and keeping in mind that I am swatching it a little bit heavy just so you can really see the true color. The shade is very, very pigmented, very blendable, such a beautiful shade. It's not like a true orange. I definitely think it's got a little bit more of like a red in it. There's definitely some different tones going on here. Next I'm swatching Salvage, and this is from the ItsBel Besame blush palette. There's 6 pans in it, and this one you can see it is brighter and just slightly different tone than Tangy from Unearthly Cosmetics. Next, moving on to Orange Blossom from Moira. You can see this is an ombre pan, so I'm just gonna kind of swirl my finger in here and swatch that right here. So obviously you can get it a little bit more orange. I'm just gonna put that like right here so you can see what it looks like if you were just to try to dip into the orange section. Probably one of the truest orange blushes I've ever seen. This is from the brand The Same, I believe is pronounced. It's down here, and this is the shade Selfie Orange. It does have a scent to it. It is powder. It feels very, very smooth, but this one you'll see is like a true, like a lighter orange, almost like a, and this one definitely will take some building up. Next up is Persimmon from Cosmetics, and this is their newest blusher, and this one has a little bit of a sheen to it. I think it's translating just a little bit of sparkle in there. And then I'm going to put it next to their other shade called Faded Clementine. I don't think that they're that similar. I actually think that Faded Clementine has more of a sheen to it, and it is a little bit more on the brown side. Next up, moving on to the newly launched Odin Eye blushes. This shade is Peach Gleam, a little bit more of like a burnt orange, but with a lot of red in it. And there's a little bit of sparkle, but I think it's just an overspray. Next is Orange Sunny, super beautiful burnt orange. Warm Sun from Odin's Eye. This one is more of a pastel orange. And then Sienna Luster, which this one is not really like that orangey, but it's got like a bit of peachiness in it. It's almost metallic. It definitely has quite a bit of a sheen, especially compared to these other shades. Next up is Floret, and this is a new blush from Lethal Cosmetics. This is so beautiful. I think this one actually reminds me a little bit of this shade from Odin's Eye. I forget which one that was, but I think that they look a little bit similar. Next up is Tendril, and this is like a really, really true orange from Lethal Cosmetics. I absolutely love this blush. I love their powder blushes. And then Neophyte, which is like a yellow. It's basically like a yellow blush. This one I do have to be a little bit careful with because it can make me look a little bit sickly. So this one is good to kind of mix in if you wanted to lighten up some of these other shades. Next up is this Ysl Blush. And I'm not really sure what shade this is. I think it's just shade number 3. It doesn't really say on the back. And this one definitely takes a lot of building up. It's not going to swatch really well. It has almost like a cream to powder formula. This one is best applied with a brush. But you can kind of see what that shade looks like as I'm trying to build it up a bit. Next up is this blush from Kaleidos. This one looks very like burnt orangey. It's almost like this shade from Cosmetics. I'm not sure why it's not coming off that way, but when I put it on, I do have a cheek swatch in my video dedicated on the Smoky Nostalgia collection if you wanted to see what that one looks like on my cheeks. On to non-powder formulas. This is Sunset Sky from Cosmetics. I'm just gonna run it a little bit back and forth. And this one is almost reddish, so it's not really quite like these. It's more like these shades up here. And I absolutely hate the dropper. It's such a pain to use, and this does lift my foundation. These are honestly not really my favorite. Next on to a cream blush. This is Tower 28 Golden Hour. I love this blush so much. So easy to use. Never had any lifting issues or anything like that. Definitely pigmented, but can be buildable if you go in with a lighter hand. Really love this shade a lot. Next up is a cream blush from M Cosmetics in Passion. This one is such a beautiful, beautiful orange. And I think this one blends out a little bit to be even more of like a truer orange. This one is super, super pigmented. I have to go in with a very light hand. This is what it looks like in the actual tube. Next up is a shade from Juicy Pang. And this one is from Yes Style. And it is in the shade... Ooh, not sure. A Pew, I think. And this one is like a basically like a nail polish applicator. It's so funny. I haven't used this one too much. It smells really, really good. It actually has like a peachy smell to it. So this one is not really truly an orange. This is definitely more of like a peach. But I do think it is useful to see it in here with the other blushes. Next up is this random cream blush stick from M2U NYC. I'm actually not even sure if they exist anymore. But it is this brand that launched, I want to say like 2 years ago. And they sent me a couple of their products when they launched through Octoly. And this is a really, really pigmented blush. This is just such a vibrant, beautiful orange cream. It has a little bit of sheen in it, a little bit of golden sparkle. Next up is Fuego Flush from Fenty Beauty. This one has quite a bit of sparkle throughout it. Definitely a little bit on the lighter tone orange side. So closer to one of the shades from Lethal, for example, but in a cream formula with a little bit of sparkle throughout it. Next up is Nectar, which is a liquid blush from Flower Beauty. And this one, again, less of a true orange, a little bit different kind of tone. It's actually very similar, I think, to this shade right here, maybe a little bit darker. And I love this one. This is such a blendable formula. Really, you can't really mess this one up. You can build it up if you want to, but it does kind of apply a little bit like sheer. It just really blends out easily, so you do have to maybe go in just a little bit. And this one I did demo on the cheeks, and I love this one so much. Next, onto the Daniel Sandler Watercolor Liquid Cheek Color. This is in the shade Crush. And this one you can see it's completely liquid, and actually the pigment separates, so you have to really shake it. And I mean, look at that. If that isn't the perfect orange blush, it is so stunning. I absolutely love it. I like to use it with a stipple brush and just blend it out and then build it up as I please. It blends like a dream. And then last up, perfect because I only have one slot left on my arm. This is the Style Nanda blush cushion. I also demoed this one in the shade Mandarine. So these are all the orange blushes I wanted to show you and compare so you could get an idea on which kind of tone you would prefer. Obviously, some of these are a little bit more true to orange than others, but just to give you a spectrum. You can also start to see which ones dry down, which ones kind of stay a little wet looking, which are a little bit more serum-like. So there you have it. Those are all the orange blushes that I own. So I would recommend any of these. Of course, it all depends on the variation of orange that you would like, the tone of the orange, as well as pigmentation level and formulation. Of course, we have some powder, cushion, liquid, like super liquid, some glowy blushes, some matte blushes. I mean, there's just so much to choose from. Let me know in the comments below which of these shades piqued your interest. I would love to hear your thoughts, and if you have any orange blush recommendations. I really hope this video was helpful, and if you enjoyed it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, I would love it if you subscribe. There's so much makeup content uploading my channel and much more to come. You don't want to miss out. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.